Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on The Conversation. Now, in the aftermath of dropping out of ECOWAS, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali are teaming up to create a 5,000-strong military unit to fight against jihadist violence that has plagued the region for years. Now, these countries, which are located in the Sahel region, have been facing attacks from jihadist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. It's worth noting that these countries have recently distanced themselves from France and have formed their own confederation, that's the Alliance of Sahel States, the AES. Now, to explore more on this and what this means for the Sahel states, I'm joined by Dennis Amachree. He is a security expert in New York, the USA. Thank you so much, Dennis, for joining us. Hello, Dennis. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you now, loud and clear. All right. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Now, can you speak to us on the primary goals of this newly formed 5,000-strong joint force? How does it differ from, previous regional security initiatives like the G5 Sahel Joint Force?
Okay, thank you very much. Since that troop had been formed, I've been a little bit worried because for your neighbors to come together and form a standing 5,000-man troop, number one is a military threat. It's a military threat to the country, especially Nigeria, because I don't think they've seen Nigeria as a friend, especially with Niger Republic. But well, they said that they are going to use it to fight jihadists and ISWAP and all the rest, but I think that will just be the public notice they are just giving.
But how will that work, considering that, there are reports of some of the terrorists in Nigeria coming in from Niger?
Well, the thing is that the terrorists have been disturbing them too. They have been having the problem of terrorism, especially in Mali, and these people are, there is a vast area, desert area where some of them sneak in, of course, using the porous borders we have in the north. So they can sneak in. And the military joint task force that we used to use with Niger and Chad, still exists, but I think Niger might be withdrawing from that arrangement to gang up with the AES, where they feel that they are a sovereign country, they are sovereign and should defend themselves.
Okay. Dennis, now Niger's defense minister, Salif El-Modi, mentioned that the force is nearly ready and will be operational within weeks. What challenges are they likely to face in achieving full operational capacity or capability in such a short time frame?
Well, I don't think it's a short time frame because apparently they've been planning this for a very long time. They have allocated up to about 2.8 square kilometer area where they are going to build a barracks or whatever, a military installation. And they are going to be equipped with aerial power and, of course, ground troops and intelligence with a fusion center, of course. So all this couldn't have just started. It has started a long time ago. They've been planning it, and of course, they allocated the area, and they said that it's going to be operational within weeks. So I'm very, very sure they've been planning it and they are ready to do it. So the implication still remains. Although they say they are going to fight terrorists, ISWAP and jihadists and all the rest, I think as a sovereign nation, Nigeria has to really be very, very careful about this because when a foreign nation starts to amass troops, near your border, then I think you have to also start thinking seriously. This modern day warfare could take any kind of strategic
Shift.
turn. So we have to watch that.
You seem really, really worried about this, Dennis. But then let's introduce our next guest, Roy Okhidievbie. He's a security expert as well in Texas, USA. Thank you so much for joining us, Roy. Hello, Roy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah, please go ahead and speak to us, on your thoughts on the formation of this 5,000-strong joint force by Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I will first of all give my honored regards to my boss in the studio, Oga Amachree. We call him the Oracle. So this is a privilege, sir. All right. Now, if you look at the situation now, you will see it like where the youths. Let's classify countries and nations. Let's classify Nigeria and some of the Western countries. Let's classify those that are called third world nations that are beginning to take the narratives to better their people. Now, if we say we want to look at when the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria took office, immediately he took office, he was made the chairman or whatever of ECOWAS. Mm-hmm. And that was the time of this coup d'etat and these agitations and this uprising within these other smaller nations, incidentally close to us, very close to us. And I saw it as an advantage for the president to have played the big brother role, call them to order, use all the whims and caprices that we have in negotiations and all the abilities to intervene and quell their anger and annoyance, and even speak to France to say, leave these people, leave their country. If Nigeria was doing that, I'm sure that they would have seen Nigeria and ECOWAS as an alliance and not break away. Now they have broken away, fine. So we are sure that every nation usually come together to form protective lines. We have the AU, we have the ECOWAS, we have the United Nations. So many bodies are built around countries coming together to protect themselves. So if these smaller nations are coming together to say we are building these strong numbers of persons, actually, if you look at Nigeria too, we have joint military with some other countries too, which we also call intervention force. So I think that we should continue this negotiation to bring these younger nations back into the fold and review ECOWAS and then produce the ECOMOG that we used to know. Some of us were a witness to what ECOMOG achieved for Africa. And I'm scared that what my boss was just saying just now, that
you're also scared.
They are going to be strong and be used against any other nation.
Wow. Both of you are scared. I wonder, how, other people think about this. Now, but let's quickly talk about funding and resources, Dennis. Now, this particular force is supposed to have, and you did say, ground troops, intelligence, air, resource, command and control structure as well. Now, looking at the level of resource commitment and their economic struggles, that's the economic struggles of these particular countries, how are these countries going to sustain this effort?
We have to realize that these countries, after breaking away from France, had made real economic gains, serious economic gains, because it is even now they realize that France was actually cheating them out of their natural resources. So right now they are making a lot of gains. In fact, they have actually budgeted about $2.6 million for this particular military arrangement they are trying to set up. So I don't think financing it will be a problem, because if financing it will be a problem, the spokesman couldn't have said that
they're almost ready.
Hello?
Go ahead, please. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, the man shouldn't have said that they are going to be ready in weeks. You know, being ready in weeks means that everything is set, you know, and with that kind of money they budgeted, which could come from, you know, their minerals, or it could even come from some international supporters they have, like Russia, you know. I don't think financing will be a problem, you know, but we still have to worry. We still have to worry about this amassment, you know, bringing together these 5,000 strong troop around our borders.
Okay. Now let's hear, you know, same question from Roy now, especially where we've seen other regional security initiatives in the Sahel, you know, struggle with coordination and funding.
You know, one thing we need to understand is that there are legitimate and illegitimate means of funding. And also there are funding for vested interests. You know, and that's why I like when African countries can come together. But if we are doing breakaways like this, we also have it in the West, where we have the Brexit. Some other countries are breaking away to form another kind of coalition. So for funding, definitely you will see vested interests come into play, where some countries want to be friends with them and look for areas of benefits, you know, friends of benefits, what they will achieve from the mineral resources and the relationship. And don't forget, there was something that I discovered when I was reviewing this situation. You know, Africa has a lot of opportunities for men for boots on ground. You know, imagine a country coming in and saying they want to pay XYZ amount for a private soldier. Do you know how many people will leave Nigeria today to go to that country to go and register and enlist? You know, because I deal with International Legion and Legionnaire, and I know how many Nigerian military personnel, especially veterans, that are still good to go. They want to get enlisted into International Legionnaire. So this is a dicey situation. And if they are going to deal with their funding properly and negotiate adequately for possible unilateral benefits for their country and their personnel, definitely they will have boots on ground. They will attract men, capable hands, trained hands from surrounding countries to boost that number and their efficiency.
All right. Now, Dennis, now let's also consider the effects, because some people have actually said that, you know, you did say that all three countries have gone through military coups recently, which is actually the fact. But then some have actually said that it might have a negative effect on political stability on the military collaboration. You know, how possible is that?
Ask that question again.
I was asking of, you know, how you think that it would affect the stability and the cohesion of this, you know, new merger between the three countries.
Okay, well, when you look at it, actually, coming together, it's always a strength. You know, it's always a strength. So for these countries to come together, it gives them a bigger, you know, security that, of course, they can use. Even if ECOWAS is even trying to invade any of them. Remember, they said it. Any invasion on any of them is against all of them. So they are ready to do that. And then, of course, the major problem I foresee is that with all these attacks, and if they are going to deal with the jihadists and stuff like that, where do we think they are going to run to? You know, because if they attack them, ISWAP, and then, of course, the jihadists, the terrorists, the bandits who are coming from the desert can easily move into the porous borders that Nigeria has.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I'm worried because, you know, these attack on those terrorists will not be good. They know that Nigeria is very, very porous, and they will come in. And then, of course, don't be worried, don't be surprised that they might even be eyeing some natural resources across the border from where they are.
All right, let's hear from you, Roy. Now, these countries, earlier you did say that some countries will want to be friends with them, and we know that these countries have distanced themselves from France and are closely working, you know, with Russia. So what does this shift mean for the region and also for global politics?
I would like to take it from this angle of politics. Now, we all know that democracy is the international best practice now, you know, where you say, okay, allow the people to rule themselves, you know, a government by the people and for the people, and let the military be the defensive arm that can be utilized by an existing government to protect the territorial integrity and all the wherewithals in the country. Now, if we look at them taking up that initiative to say democracy was bastardized, democracy was abused, and the people were suffering, and the alliances with France and other international nations were not helping us. Now, what is the timeline towards democracy with these juntas? What is the timeline they have? They have been able to intimidate the international community. They have been able to extract all democratic systems within their states, their countries, and they are putting full military regimes. Now, do they have a timeline to say we are going to hand over back to democracy and prepare a democratically elected team and let them take over from us? After, maybe I'm looking at one, you have fully removed your countries from international influence. Two, you have fully created a process where your mines and your resources are giving 70% interest to your country. You have three, you have fully generated the mindset in your people that criminal politics and political terrorism will not be allowed and tolerated henceforth, you know. And also four, you have also created lines of economic flow in and out of the country, you know, to stabilize the currency and create the enable environment, for investors. You know, so if these are their timelines, then they should be able to say, okay, we are going to hand over to democratically elected government with so and so timeline and views. So if they have that in place, the whole world will believe that they are not going to be classified as full criminals. They will be seen as intervention situation for their country, and it will be appreciated, and everybody will be working with them towards achieving those timelines that they have set and creating a proper democratic system.
Okay, now let me come back to you, Dennis. Dennis, I know you did say that you were scared that some of these terrorists would want to move into the porous borders of Nigeria, you know, to camp there. But do you think that, you know, other countries in the Sahel or even West Africa might join the alliance down the line? Are you scared of that as well?
Well, I'm not. It's not a matter of being scared. I'm just concerned, you know, and I think that you know, like Roy was saying, that democracy is the popular form of government that people are, you know, countries are adopting. But I don't fully agree, because when you look at Africa, you know, the tenets of democracy are not being upheld. And that's why you have all these military coups, you know, because a democracy is supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And then, of course, we know how, you know, the governments are not for the people, but for a very few who are, stealing the country blind. And then, of course, people are suffering and poverty and all the rest. So military regimes had been the answer. Although even in Nigeria, we have had our own spell of military regimes. Earlier, they came on as saviors. And then, of course, later we'll come to discover that they were not better than the politicians because, the stealing of the natural resources of the country continued, So we've come back to democracy now. And all these other countries, like the AES countries, they are trying to practice military regimes. And to be very honest with you, those military regimes are very popular. They are very popular in those countries, And it's one that we have to be very careful about. How do you stop people from going that way? You have to provide good governance. And if that good governance is not showing, then people start to think of how to get out of this quagmire of poverty among very rich resources into, other kinds of militarization. So I don't know if other African or West African countries are going to be interested in this particular situation, but I think they are weighing their options. They are weighing their options. If AES is going to succeed, then many countries will say, "Oh, AES succeeded, and they are military, so why don't we go that way?" And then, if of course the democratic countries are going to succeed, then people say, "Oh well, democracy is the best form of government, where the voices of the people will be heard. So let's go that way." So it could go either way, depending on what the governments are doing.
Okay. Now let's hear same thoughts from you, Roy. Could this force grow even bigger?
What my boss just aligned now looks very feasible, and in Africa, the challenge I want to catch from his last comments are that democracy becoming sweet and presentable for the people is not even enticing to Africans. If it's for the people, the actors are not happy because we are used to squandering of resources. We are used to diverting resources and eloping with them and investing them in foreign economies, and that seemed to be the direction in all of our political appointments, appointees. You won't see somebody that was legitimately upright and patriotic given a strategic location or position, unless those that could fall into the manipulative agenda to divert resources. So I'm thinking that if we could achieve that kind of democracy, yes, it will attract other countries. But I'm afraid if we cannot, then these juntas become relevant and begin to score points, positive points for their countries, their people, and they begin to get Western alliance and recognition. Definitely other country military will be eyeing to join up. And let me also say that as a military man, I know that it looks rosy from the outside, but you'll be shocked that within there might be counter coups, and these guys could be killed, and another person will read the narrative tomorrow and say we have taken over. So that person coming in will cancel everything that they are trying to do and begin to start another kind of alliance. That is what we have seen in Africa. So it's scary because we will continue in that rigorous circle and not seeing the light of the day.
Well said from both of you. And with that, I think we'll be wrapping up the show now. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Dennis Amachree, security expert, and also Roy Okhidievbie, security expert as well, both in the U.S. So we appreciate you for your time.
Thank you.